Good evening, Masculine enjoyers. I hope you're doing right, because it's time for the predictions video. Yes, a good 7 to 8 hours ago, all of these skins rotated into the Rust store, and basically we're going to go ahead and try and figure out which of these skins potentially might be the best investment this week, which of these skins might give us some of those sweet, delicious profits. So, it's March 4 swipe, and, well, unfortunately, not everybody was super enthusiastic with what we got. Now, we did get Legacy Kevlar, which was very nice, but a lot of people were very hyped up for the idea of potentially seeing Thundergold hoodie and pants or Flashbacks tier 3 armor. Didn't happen, unfortunately. However, we can't rule out the possibility that it might actually appear next week. So I'm going to introduce you to a notable trend that I've noticed with the recent holiday-themed Rust stores, and potentially after this video you'll probably think, actually, you know what, maybe they are going to appear next week. So shall I explain? Let's jump in. With the most recent Face Punch blog, if we quickly hop over to here and take a look at the very bottom of the most recent blog, what do we see right here? What's this? We can see that they've essentially announced that Easter is going to be released on March 21st. Now, I'm under the impression that this will last for maybe about 2 weeks until April 4 swipe. This would probably mean that March 21 and March 28 are going to be 2 Easter Rust stores. Potentially, we shall see. Last year we did have 2 weeks of Easter Rust stores, so I'm under the impression that's going to be the case. So keep note, 21st. Next week will, of course, be March 14th. And here's the point that I want to get across to all of you. So as we go over to here on SCM.app, I want to remind you the most recent holiday-themed Rust store that we had was Lunar New Year, Year of the Dragon, a lovely batch of dragon-themed skins. But more specifically, I want to show you the Rust store just before that. So basically, here I'm going to introduce you to the idea of certain skins. How long have they waited in the workshop to finally be picked? Now, normally, when you see the likes of TGG's top picks, these would be referred to as typical picks. If a skin has been picked from here, it will be a typical pick. If a skin has only recently just been submitted with the most recent weekend, aka the skins I normally talk about in my Rust Workshop skin checks, that would be an early pick. If it was released during the weekend and literally accepted the very next Rust store, that would be an early pick. But for a skin that wasn't picked during the when the top picks list was produced, but it appears later on, that would be a late pick. So in short, when I look at this Rust store right here, I notice late pick, late pick, late pick. This stuck around for about 3 weeks in the workshop, this stuck around for around 3 weeks in the workshop, and this stuck around for over a month. So basically, the point I'm trying to get across is, next week for March 14th, the Rust store just before March 21st, we're expecting Easter, and of course the actual Easter Rust stores. I believe we're going to be seeing a lot of late picks. Therefore, when I look at the likes of the most recent top picks produced by TGG over here, scroll down, the likes of Thundergold hoodie and pants, and of course the likes of Flashbacks tier 3 are still in contention. It still looks like it's potentially going to be next week. Potentially. No guarantees. But if you've kind of like lost the will to enjoy skins anymore because you didn't get to see those continuations, don't worry, it's still next week, potentially. Now, I'm just going to reinforce this point, so let's go back to Christmas time, or rather, just before Christmas time. For the 10th anniversary Rust store, what did we see here? Well, this skin right here waited in the workshop for about 3 weeks. This hoodie and pants, the Ronin hoodie and pants, 6 weeks. Extra late. And then, of course, the antique sword, 5 weeks extra late. So do you notice this trend here? This week, just before the start of the Christmas skins, and then if we go even further back, if we go to the week just before Halloween, what do we see? Late pick, late pick, late pick, late pick, and late pick. So next week, I can't help but assume we're going to be seeing quite a lot of late picks, and I can't help but assume maybe, possibly, just maybe we might see the likes of Thundergold hoodie and pants and maybe Flashbacks tier 3. Maybe. No guarantees, all right? So if you're not super happy with the likes of these skins that are picked for this week, fair enough. That's fine. I understand that many people are super invested into the likes of these, but there is a very good chance from this top picks list, you're very likely to see even more skins being picked next week from this batch of skins. And when it comes to clothing and armor, I just want to reinforce this point as well. I, of course, look at all the newer skins every single week because I make a big fuss that the faster you keep an eye on all the skins and notice potential collection continuations, you can make an investment, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea, my Rust Workshop skin checks. Well, in terms of all the clothing and armor, I just don't see anything super stand out that could probably get picked. So let's just quickly go over this real quickly. You've got some burlap skins right there. It's cool, it's nice. You've got a goofy looking American football design there for the armour. That's fine. Cheese. We didn't get any of the other skins accepted, so yeah. I think Desert Beast Jacket has a decent chance of potentially being accepted. When it comes to the likes of Hoodie and Pants, I don't really think Race Hoodie and Pants stands a chance. Apocalypse Snowbed, maybe. The MP5 did quite alright, maybe. Cyber, we did just get tier 2, maybe, but then we have been getting a lot of boots and gloves recently. But after that, when it comes to likes the tier 3 armour and whatnot, I'm not really sure. Maybe a leprechaun for St. Patrick's? So do you understand? I can't help but assume that this and this are still perfectly in contention for next week's Trust Store. So if that's a little bit reassuring for you, maybe don't unload all of your stock. So there you go. We shall see. Will that trend continue, or maybe it will end, or maybe we do see it continue, but those skins aren't picked. There is one final extra last potential lucky thing that could happen. Last year, we saw 2 batches who complete the sets and, of course, Most Wanted. And the first instance actually happened around May time. So on May 11, 2023, what did we see? Most Wanted. And then the week after that, complete the sets. Remember the whiteout boots selling over 100,000? There you go. So basically, we might have this happen again this year, in 2 months' time. Who knows? But I can assure you, with the likes of Flashbacks and, of course, Thundergold, Hoodie and Pants, they have had a lot of votes. They have had a lot of support. And, well, surely they'd be perfectly in contention for the likes of that. We shall see. So I've given you all the information that I'm aware of. You think about that. It's up to you now. But what I want to do right now is talk about these skins that we have right here in front of us. I want to talk about whether these skins potentially might be a nice investment. Let's jump in. First thing I'm noticing, Legacy Kevlar boots and gloves. Now, let's just remind ourselves, Legacy Kevlar hasn't exactly been super great, has it? We've had some problems. Now, initially, the Tier 3 came out, and it sold an absurd amount. And it persisted for 2 weeks. Do you remember when it appeared for the first week of Christmas skins? That was strange, but it happened anyway. When this was all done and wrapped up, we didn't see anything else for a good 2 weeks, and then the kilt appeared, and suddenly this goes up in price insanely. Then the hoodie and pants appear, and suddenly this goes up even higher with the kilt. The problem is, though, after the hoodie and pants, we didn't see anything for about a month, and people were assuming these were going to instantly get another skin accepted, and everything was going to work out. Didn't happen, so people got impatient and unloaded all of their stock onto the Steam market, and prices went down pretty hard. So this is definitely a problem in terms of, with the likes of Legacy Kevlar, we've experienced a lot of people buying far too much, and that led to prices going down pretty hard. So the first thing that I want to discuss is, it's been about 7 to 8 hours, and the boots and the gloves have sold quite a lot already. So let's just quickly go and make a comparison to the previous week. So if I just go to the first 24 hours of sales for last week's Trust Store, we've already surpassed it. But if the boots and gloves already have over 9,000 sales, bare minimum, subscriber count, with what we see here, it's already surpassed the first 24 hours of sales for every single skin here. And if I want to make an even further, there you go, if we go back over to here, when we saw the likes of the Legacy Kevlar Roadsign vest and coffee can helmet for the February Force Wipe last month, well, after 24 hours, these did almost, we'll say almost 12,000 sales bare minimum. The boots and the gloves have already done 9,000. I wonder how many we're going to see being sold after 24 hours. I'm pretty sure it's going to be more than this. But the reason why I'm making a comparison to this is because we know where these ended up at. So we just quickly go back over to here and take another look over to here. The likes of the vest and the coffee can, they did about 24,000 sales. Maybe a bit more. SCMM cannot see every single account. There's a lot of private accounts there. But I get the feeling both the boots and the gloves are very likely going to reach about 30,000 plus sales. And I mainly attribute that to the fact that these are selling for 99 cents each. All these other skins here sold at least $2. Alright, so too low of a price seems to be in a bit of a problem. It looks like we might have oversaturation, or will we? Because when we look at the likes of the Tier 3 armor and the hoodie and pants, well, on average, these have about like 60,000 sales. These have 50,000 sales. So, but when we look at the likes of these two, 24,000 sales, and the kilt that did about 30,000 sales, let's just say, maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe this actually might work out quite all right. Because when we look at the likes of clothing and armour, we always make comparisons to pre-existing skins. And so as long as the total sales kind of match up quite nicely, we assume everything will work out quite all right. We actually discussed this literally just the previous week when we looked at the likes of Damascus, because when we looked at the likes of Tier 3 and hoodie and pants, these did about 13,000 sales on average. But when we looked at Tier 2, these did 19 and 20,000 average. And unfortunately, as you can see, these two skins, they're starting to go down because there's far too many of these in comparison to these. Does that make sense? It's not well well balanced. Even the boots and gloves are a bit iffy because these did about 17,000 sales. There's more of these compared to these, and yeah, awkward. So, back over to here. Looking at the likes of Legacy Kevlar, I get the feeling it might not be so bad, mainly due to the fact that, well, I think there's far too many of these regardless. Now, the main driving force to see the likes of these skins doing well are people actively wanting to use Legacy Kevlar. So this is where I bring up one of the interesting updates that we've just had with March, and I'm going to go reference a video I've made already, back over to here. Have you seen my Rust Nightlight March update comparing old and new, vision at night time? Basically, in this video, I should quickly just showcase to everybody, here's what the current nighttime looks like when it's pitch black, and as you can see, you can't see a thing. Even when you have the likes of whiteout on, as you can see over here, when it's pitch black, you could not see a thing. However, with the brand new nightlight system that's just been introduced, we saw this in staging, with great thanks to Mr. Micro again for these videos, you can notice brighter colours a lot faster compared to darker colours. So as we slowly get closer, you will see whiteout clothing, you'll see it in a second, right about now. There you go. So this is a little bit awkward because that means darker clothing potentially might have a bit of an advantage over brighter clothing. That doesn't sound too surprising, does it? But this potentially could mean the likes of all of the blackout and all of its alternative skin sets very likely might be a little bit more in demand now. Now, I will point this out, the boots and the gloves are the main reason why these have gone up in price a fair bit. Boost demand, boost in price. So not too hard and not too surprising. Will this persist and stick around? We don't know. And I should point out, many skins at the moment are suffering mainly due to the fact that it's the Easter dip. So if I just quickly point this out, as you can see, with last year, after we had the likes of the brand new year, the player counts did dip a fair bit. This is a routine thing that happens every single year. Guess what? Summertime, oh look, all the people came back, and we had a lot of people. And typically when a lot of people play, we tend to see a nice boost in demand for skins, and of course, prices improve. Now, we just recently had post-Christmas, and it wasn't exactly super grey, but maybe the summer might be better. Point I'm trying to get across is Legacy Kevlar recently has been down quite bad. Maybe things might turn around now. We just got a new piece of clothing and armor. That's nice. And potentially with this new update, maybe people prefer to use black clothing. We shall see. So maybe things might actually just work out perfectly fine for this. Now, I will sit here and say I do prefer gloves over boots, mainly due to the fact that we have the trend of Roadsign gloves. So as long as the pair of gloves are part of a well-established collection, aka if you have at least tier 3 armor, tier 2 armor, and of course the hoodie and pants, they tend to do perfectly fine, even if the collection isn't doing super great on average. So do you remember when we looked at the likes of Copper Roadsign gloves and Skullkiller Roadsign gloves and JPEG Roadsign gloves when we were talking about Damascus boots and gloves? Well, Copper collection, what do we see? Diddly-diddly-diddly-doo. Yeah, the whole thing isn't doing super great, but the gloves, they're doing fine. However, I will also point out a very notable thing with the likes of this is it did not sell as much compared to the rest of these other skins. So that seems to favour it quite all right there as well. You will see this as well with the likes of Skullkiller. And what do we see? Yes, so about 12,000 sales average there, but this did about 13,000, and that did about 20,000, that did about 17,000. So yeah, this sold a fair bit less. But when we're making comparisons of what this potentially might reach up to, well, I mean, that's going to still do quite a lot less in terms of sales compared to the hoodie and pants and of course the tier 3. Maybe it's looking to be perfectly fine. Maybe. The smart decision is to wait until Wednesday. Wait until Wednesday, look and see how many sales have happened, compare it to the rest of the Legacy Kevlar clothing and armor, and then make your decision. Because unfortunately, this right here and this right here, they're not abnormal. They are not abnormal. Now, if you're on SCMM and notice this problem, the boots say not marketable, don't worry, that'll be fixed by next Thursday. We've had this happen recently with the skins that were in the Trust and Rust batch of skins. Do you remember like 2 months ago when we had the likes of the Abyss Roadsign gloves, the Royal M249 and the Pirate Garage door? They also had not marketable as well, but when the Thursday rolled in with the new Rust door, it was patched, fixed, and they were marketable afterwards. All right, so don't worry about that. The boots will be fixed. So back over to here, looking at these skins one more time, I do lean more towards the likes of the gloves doing better. But we also should point this out. How much do the other black, gloves and boots cost? Well, if we could just quickly go see this, we do know that the likes of the Dragon Rage gloves, not doing super great because they'd sold quite a fair bit, especially compared to the other pieces in its collection. Black Gold's doing all right. Yep, $3, so that's okay, 20,000 sales in total. And then we look at the likes of the Blackout Roadsign gloves, 47,000 sales, currently sitting at $4. So maybe, these will do a very good, decent job in retaining their value, But will they go up in price very highly? I don't think they're going to go very high, but I think they're going to do perfectly fine in retaining their value and potentially just being a little bit higher. So we shall see. In regards to the boots, well, if we go look at the past, again, with the likes of Dragon Rage, I believe we have problems. Oh yeah, this is kind of broken. So if I go over to here instead and do boots, and you'll see this for yourself. There we are. Okay, so what do we see over to the likes of here? We have the likes of Dragon Rage boots, but then we got Black Gold boots, whoa, and then we got Blackout boots, whoa. But at the end of the day, if you're going to have boots that are black, why not just get quite literally the black boots, 54 cents? You know? All right, so in total, I feel like I'd rather lean towards the Roadsign gloves, but I can't help but assume the boots might do quite alright, so as long as Legacy Kevlar remains being fairly in demand. If we get another nice and affordable Blackout alternative appear at some point this year, I worry for this. Remember what happened to Pirate Collection, alright? So, with what we see here, I lean more towards the likes of gloves, but I'd rather see how many sales have happened by Wednesday, then make a decision if I want to jump in and buy some. And I basically did that quite literally with the likes of the Thundergold SAR right here. I waited until Wednesday, I saw this only did 10,000 sales, 25% less compared to the AK. Cool. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to go jump in and buy some, and I did, and it's doing perfectly fine at the moment. But we'll see what happens from here and now, but I'm optimistic for it. All right then, so I did like 10 minutes talking about that. Wow. Let's jump in and talk about the other skins. What's still looking to be perfectly reasonably okay as an investment? I'm going to be 50-50 in everything else. Yes, I am. So I'm going to talk about the likes of Skullforce, Bandana, and High Poncho now. I like this. It looks cool. And when you look at the actual images from what we see here, I'm sure you could probably agree. Like, that does look pretty sweet. That does look pretty cool. And now I'm in the position of, well, maybe we'll see some more primitive skins. So I can confirm, from what I've seen in recent past, when we see continuations with primitive skins, yes, we do see a spike in demand, spike in price for the pre-existing primitive skins. We've seen that with the likes of Desert Beast. We've seen that with the likes of Cursed Collection. Do you remember that? Well, let's go quickly remind ourselves of Cursed Collection, because that did turn into a full-fledged collection. But unfortunately, initially, when these came out, they came out during the January Force Wipe. And if we go back to that and look at all the skins back then, they all sold an absurd amount. And now they're suffering because of it, because there's far too many that are bought. But when we look at all this collection, it's doing okay. And let me remind you, most skins right now, they're struggling, they're suffering, and we haven't even had the CS2 major start yet. That's happening potentially, well, in about a week's time, yeah. All the new content's coming out potentially next week. That's the main thing I want to bring up there. So if that's doing okay, as you can see, a full collection definitely helps. And during the summertime, I can't help but assume that will probably all rebound and end up in the positive at the very least. Let's see. So anyway, on the horizon, could we potentially see a continuation? I would cross my fingers and hope so. Burlap, hide, doesn't matter. So as long as we see more primitive skins, all the better for it. Now, with the likes of the Poncho, this is abnormal, but the Bandana isn't. So let's see what happens in regards to Wednesday night. We'll look at how many sales both of these have had, and then we'll look at it and consider, right, what are we going to do? I'm a little bit worried in regards to the Bandana. Bandanas haven't been doing super great recently, as you can see right here. There you are. Oh, God. But maybe it might work out still right. And like I said, with the likes of the Curse Collection, we initially had the Bandana and the Poncho. They did sell an absurd amount. They did go down in price initially. However, when we got the continuations, didn't matter. Still saw it rise in price because, you know, boost demand, boost in price. So you get the idea. So I'm optimistic, but I want to see what potentially appears over the course of the weekend. And, well, unfortunately, with the likes of Easter being, well, just around the corner, we're not going to be able to see a continuation for a while. And unfortunately, people are impatient. If they don't get instant gratification and instant continuations, they're very likely just going to unload their stock. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to look at this on Wednesday, and I'm going to consider how I'm going to approach it. Because I do believe at some point, you know, on the horizon, we will see continuations, primitive continuations. Sounds good? So we'll wait until then. What else am I optimistic reasonably? Well, again, like I said, I'm still 50-50. I do look at the likes of this garage door. Selling very nicely, clearly in demand, but will it hold? Will everything work out quite all right? It's got a very unique design to it. It's got glow in the dark, and potentially there could be a collection of these. Now, if we were to look at the likes of the comments, people are asking, hey, could you make a small oil rig as a sheet metal door and whatnot? And it got me thinking, well, in this style, they could probably do like every single monument. And, like, you know, think of it. Think of the potential ideas you could do. Like, you could do a furnace, but it's dome, so you can see the top of it on the furnace. Ah, there you go. So there's plenty of other ideas that could be made there. So if this does potentially turn into a deplorable collection, would you care? Would you like it? Well, call it the Blocky collection. Maybe that works. I don't know. we would have to see what appears on the on the workshop. But unfortunately, with Easter skins obviously going to be made over the course of potentially 2 weeks, we're not going to be seeing anything like that for a while. And of course, as I just mentioned in regards to the primitive skins that we just saw a minute ago, people are impatient and very likely they will unload their stock. So I can't help but assume this might have some trouble. Also, just go see the state of garage doors at the moment. And what do you see? All the recent ones, bar the Neon Dragon garage door, and of course last year's, so we get quite a lot of garage doors. We've already had 5 so far this year, and we've had, 9 weeks in this year? So, yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more, and they very likely might still, take its thunder, take its attention away. But a smart buy order can always lead to some reasonable success. So we'll see how many sales have happened. This is abnormal. Wednesday night we'll look at it, we'll consider a price to offer, and then we'll approach it. Sounds good? All right, cool. Looking at the other skins, this is less than 50-50, all right? I look at this Khokhloma Small Box with intrigue. What are we on about? Basically, not too long ago, we had the large box, didn't we? And at first glance, you might notice, oh, wow, it's doing very nice. But there's a very weird thing that happened with this large box. So, number one, let's just quickly point out, the glow-in-the-dark in these things, they're like at max settings. I'm not joking. Go take a look. Whoa. Bit insane. You probably don't need super glow-in-the-dark deplorables anymore, though, with the new nightlight, with the introduction to that, with the March update. However, here's the weird thing. Look at it on the Steam market and look at its recent history, because this was actually dipping in price. So right now, this is currently sitting at $3.50 with only 20 quantity. However, if you look at what happened very, very recently, do you see this? Do you see the liquidity? Do you see how initially in the green, so the green bar is indicating all the prices, it was initially going down, and then suddenly goes up. And the blue bar is referencing the amount of sales. Someone yesterday just jumps in and buys 61 of these. So, as I hide that and zoom in a little bit closer, this was going down. And this was selling as low as, at one point, less than $2. But then someone just decides, oh, I'm going to buy all the stock. Suddenly it's sitting at $3.50. This doesn't seem reliable to me. But if it happens again, if we keep getting more of these skins accepted, does that mean even the likes of the small box will probably get bought out like that? I don't know. Things are weird there, but at the very least, that's abnormal. But I will remind you, small boxes recently haven't been doing very well, unfortunately. Last year, we ended up getting tons of them, and, well, even the glow-in-the-dark ones aren't so special anymore. So, looking at that, I'm a bit hesitant, and still curious, what's going on with the large box? So if you think maybe that'll happen with the likes of this small box here, you can make a choice for it if you really want to, but it's not so reliable, is it? So just pointing that out. Maybe we'll talk more about that in the 48-hour analysis. Maybe we'll bring it up. So as long as we keep an eye on what happens with the large box, we could consider what we're going to do with the small box on Wednesday night, because that is abnormal, right? Cool. So let's leave that there. And unfortunately, with the 2 weapon skins, I'm not very optimistic. All right, so number one, let's just quickly jump in and explain what's wrong with this. So over the past, 5-6 weeks, we've had an AK-47 being accepted, and, well, some of them were quite pricey. Mythical Dragon, $3.49. Thundergold, $3.49. Inflatable AR, $3. Last week's one, $2. That was fine, but that's $3. And, looking at the design and whatnot, it looks cool and reasonable, and I can appreciate it and respect it, but we've had far too many AKs in such a short amount of time, and pretty pricey ones, mind you, and I just can't help but assume that's going to suffer pretty badly, much like the inflatable AR, which is now listed at $1.39. If I go further back, do you remember the El Diablo AK-47 that looked very cool? Do you remember this? Do you remember this? That looks cool. Yeah, that sold for $3.49. Well, now it costs 98 cents. Ha. So, yeah, well, we'll see how that potentially turns out. We'll look at it Wednesday, but I'm not very optimistic. I'm very sorry to say. And then we got the Imperial Thompson. Now, before, I used to be all in with Thompsons. I used to be, fully behind them. And I will also point this out, we haven't actually seen that many being accepted this year, based on the fact that, well, we've only had 2. However, last year, we ended up with 17, and the first Thompson to be accepted actually appeared in February, second one, March. Basically, don't be, surprised that there's only 2 so far. There's plenty more that could appear later on this year. Anyway, last year, around May time, Thompsons were, perfectly reliable, perfectly fine, but over the course of, the next 8 months, they lost that credibility. And as you look at them right now, many of them are in the negative, and it's very unfortunate to see. But it all kind of summed up around post-Christmas time where they just didn't really go up in price that much. The year before, they went very high. But this year, no, bad. So I look at this Imperial Thompson, and I'm not super optimistic with it, unfortunately. So, yeah, that could always work with a decent buy order, but that's not abnormal. We don't have that advantage, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see when it appears when the Rustore rotates. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, I hope I was reasonably fast and explanatory of all these skins and what I'm thinking. But, yeah, even then it was still 25 minutes. But I give you a proper explanation. So, there you go. So, what should you people probably be doing right now? Well, of course, we now look towards the likes of April time. You should be keeping an eye on the commits. Quick refresh, what do we see? Well, I can't read that. But what I can point out is we didn't get the likes of the tool cupboard skin, did we? That very likely is now going to be pushed towards the likes of April because they've been working on it again. Retro skin tool cupboard very likely will be a DLC for April. We shall see. Let's see if they get that finished. Also on the horizon, we also have the likes of bikes, not bicycles, motorbikes. Motorbikes with sidecars as well. So as I just keep scrolling down, where is it? There it is. Yes, they have actually mentioned that we're going to be getting like various different types of bikes, and notably a motorbike with sidecar. So one guy drives, another guy sits in his little sidecar and shoots everyone. Yeah. So interesting things are being mentioned on the commits all the time, and well, now we look towards the likes of April Force Wipe. So we will be having Easter, but whilst that's all bit like happening and whatnot, we very likely will be seeing some new interesting things appearing around April time, which of course is just a month away. So just keep an eye out, and of course keep an eye on the likes of the workshop. Not you, go away. There we are, because we are now going to start seeing Easter skins, because they have to be readily available for March 21st. And we'll see if we do end up with 2 weeks of Easter. Last year we did of course see that, so if I just go back, we of course saw 2 weeks. So if you really want to, look at all of these skins and see if there's any potential chances that we might potentially see a collection continuation maybe on the horizon, alright? So you can put that effort in yourself, just look at the past, look at what things potentially might appear, and yeah. Now, with the likes of the recent rumblings, you might be aware that we're also getting the likes of the chicken costume. We don't know if this is going to be sold. It might be something they just have in-game, which you can just make yourself, or they might sell that. We don't know, but it's definitely coming for March 21st, the first week of Easter. So, yeah, that's that then. So, this comes in 3 different varieties. There's many people that have already talked about it now. Look forward to it, I guess. Just to point out, they are wooden pant skins, so cool. So thank you very much for watching me. I greatly appreciate it. Hope everything was reasonably understandable and straightforward. And with that, have a lovely weekend. Enjoy yourself, enjoy the March Force Wipe, and look forward towards the likes of Easter. Catch you later. See you and goodbye.